what is the area that you feel like needs most work? Obviously, coming from like a bodybuilding background, you're like self-critical about every area in the body. What do you feel like for you is this area that just doesn't grow or you just get frustrated with?
Yeah, so you're talking about like physique in terms of.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So there's a few areas. So like growing up when I was playing football and stuff, I always would have had like stronger legs just because I played like football and like loads of different sports actually from like the age of like I don't know 6 or whatever it was. So legs was always a pretty good feature for me, and genetically I think they just respond very very well. So like outruling them, chest then was like my weakest body part for a long time, and then I spent so much time on it that it's actually become a pretty decent, well, a bit less shit basically. So
Yeah,
then in terms of like body parts that are stubborn to grow for me would be
it's just going to be really specific, like a really small muscle that is like no one else would even look at.
nah, it's not that specific. You like when you're looking at a physique, like I'm just like right, this part, this part, this part. I'm trying to like create the picture in my head. Arms is stubborn for me, 100%.
Okay.
And then my back as well. Right. Yeah, I would say back, but in reality, I think my back's actually come up a bit more just because I've started allocating more volume in terms of my training. Like
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
the big emphasis for me recently in terms of where I've actually seen my back improve is just increasing the volume that I'm allocating to lats. And the biggest thing is that even though I've been training for a long time, as I say to you and say to my clients, is that you're never at that level that you think, is the top of the mountain in terms of training. There's always something to learn. There's always something to like divulge in your head and understand. And I think because I've put myself in a position where I'm training lats more often, I've almost forced myself into a corner in terms of right. Well, if I'm training them this often, right, I get that sensation of feeling in the muscle a bit more. I know what I should be looking for now in terms of whereas before I was getting the concentric in terms of a lat movement, for example, but the eccentric I wasn't really getting much out of it where I should have been. So
So
I
you're
think
saying that like of all the body parts, the lats have been the one that you've struggled to understand feeling the most.
yeah, yeah.
Do you feel like that's been like a limiter on development for them?
Yeah, in terms of concentric, I think like this the pull itself, I gained that from a young age, but it's only recently the actual eccentric in terms of actually creating that arc that you're trying to do in a single arm lat pull down, for example. Like I always knew, right, create that arc on the way in, but didn't click in my mind that we have to try and emphasize that on the way out as well to keep the tension on that muscle.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't believe it, the amount of people that struggle with the same thing, and as soon as you cue them on it as like, soon as you point it out to them, like I didn't even know it was possible, sort of thing.
Yeah. So what do you tend to cue yourself when you're thinking about, I guess, like the eccentric phase in something on the lat?
Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to almost like decompress my shoulder. So if I'm pulling this in, I'm sort of like tilting it because I'm trying to. If you like naturally just tilt yourself over, that lat's going to slightly contract down. So you're gonna decrease the. I heard this before, where you're going to decrease the length or distance between the where the lat attaches to the other. What am I trying to say here? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say.
Distance.
I'll let you word it.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to figure it out. The distance between where the lat attaches to the other part of attachment. I definitely worded that completely wrong.
Struggling with the attachment
Yeah,
points.
I know. Like, but trying to create as much distance between them, and then
Yeah.
as you get that up away from them. Um, so that's one big thing that I focused on, and then really just decompressing that shoulder and pushing that arm down and away instead of just letting the cable, for example, pull your arm up. You're trying to
Yeah.
press that shoulder and then let it pull you up. So that's been the biggest thing for me, man. And even for all my clients where I pointed out wee things like that, it's made a huge difference.
So do you think with the lat, there's obviously a bit more technicality in it because of the arc, and it obviously relies heavily on body position and like your midline position, as well as just fixing the joint into a position. Like if you can maneuver how where your body is in space, you can alter like the tension that goes through the lat. Is that kind of what you're saying here?
Yeah, but in a nutshell, yeah. Because if you think about it, like if you're training a bicep, that's a single joint movement. Your
Yeah,
bicep is just single joint movement. So you can literally put your bicep on a table, do that, and it'll feed your bicep. But with the back and with the lats, there's so much going on that it's hard to isolate that, well, technically you can't just physically just isolate that one muscle, but try and emphasize that muscle a lot more. It's difficult because
Yeah, no, I agree. To be fair,
I've seen so many clients, man, where they'll send me over a lat pull down and they're bringing it into them, but they bring it down in a straight line, and then their hand ends up here, and the amount of flexion that's happening at that elbow
so that it turns into like a bicep
turns into
exercise, like
turns into
towards the end range.
yeah, it turns into a bicep curl in a nutshell.
Yeah,
So I find that honestly, lats is definitely the most for clients is definitely the most difficult muscle for them to actually build a connection with.
yeah. It's interesting because I see it when people are learning to do like a chin up or a pull up.
Yeah,
They don't know how to. They just think about like pulling up to the bar in any way or shape possible, and you'll see them get like really heavy in like bicep action trying to do it. But once you like learn how to position your torso and engage your midline a bit, the entire pull changes and you start activating the things and feeling the things that you want. But
yeah,
when you see someone like really new to doing their first chin up or pull up, they're just kind of like scrunching themselves up into the bar and compressing their chest down just to get there.
yeah,
As I guess the top position is the goal rather than what you're trying to train
yeah,
doing the chin up or the pull up.
yeah. I always think a good analogy for that, man, and you can use this on anything like a leg press or anything, but when you look at a bar and you're going to do a chin up, you're thinking, right, pull myself up to the bar instead of thinking, pull the bar down to me. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it's the same
Yeah.
with leg
Not thought
press.
of doing that myself. I thought of that when it comes to deadlifts, like push the floor away
Yeah,
instead of picking
push
the
the
bar
floor
up.
away. Yes,
I've
exactly.
never thought of it when it comes to a chin up or a pull up there.
Yeah, exact same with leg press. It's almost like, right, push you away from that leg press. That leg press doesn't move. You're pushing yourself away. And some machines, like, if you get on some machines, there's some Cybex, like I don't know, the leg presses out there, for example, that they will keep the foot pad stable, but the
Yeah.
actual the seat moves back and forth, which
I've
is
not actually seen one of them.
yeah, it's a Cybex pin loaded leg press. It's quite cool. It's a very very cool machine to use because it almost you don't have to think about it. You're doing it. You're pushing yourself away.
Yeah, yeah. So what got you into bodybuilding to begin with? Was it a case of obviously you were playing football, did you say, to begin with? You
Yeah,
started. Okay. So did you just start going to the gym and then it just become more of like progress from there? Or what drove you into like actually deciding I actually enjoy training, let's actually just push this into more bodybuilding and get more serious with it?
yeah. So it's an interesting one, man. So just to kind of give the background, like I was born in London, as you know, and played
Hmm.
football over there. I remember when I was like 6, I had trials for some team. I can't remember who it was or whatever, right? I don't know. It wasn't like Chelsea or nothing. Like I'm not gonna bullshit
I
you.
remember the team name.
It's like, do you know you have a you have a you have that one friend that says he had trials for West Ham when he was about 15, and he's
Yeah.
just chatting bullshit like. So yeah, I started playing football over there. Then I moved back here, started playing for the local team, and started playing well. I think I was pretty good at football at a young age, like, and then sort of graduated myself up into this local team, which is like their League of Ireland standards. So that would be like Premier League in England.
Oh, fair enough. I didn't know you'd got to that level in football, to be fair.
Yeah, so it's like the Premier League of Ireland, but obviously the Premier League of Ireland is like nowhere near the Premier League of
Yeah.
place. Yeah, basically. Do you know what I mean? Like, so me saying that sounds good, but it's not actually that good.
It's
So,
probably further than I went.
so yeah, in a nutshell, I graduated up there, bro. Played a load of different tournaments with that team, up until like I actually played with them up until the under 19s. But as I was getting to like 16, 17, 18, I was sort of falling out of love with it because, like, for me, I started playing football because I enjoyed it. Enjoyed the crack. But then people just started taking it too serious, and I was like, nah, this isn't for me, sort of thing. Uh,
Yeah. What age was that?
that was in around 16, 17. I
Oh,
just,
okay.
yeah, just had a few bad experiences. And I was like, nah,
So that was before men's football as such, or was
yeah,
it?
yeah,
It was, yeah.
yeah, just
Before it
because,
got brutal and turned into fights.
yeah, because the thing is, like, see, when I was 16, 17, I was in certain teams that I was playing for, I was actually pushed up into the men's team. So the men's team didn't really bother me, but it's like boys were treating it like even if you went and played five-a-side with a few boys that were actually decent football, they were
Yeah.
they were they were, they were playing as if they were playing Champions League final, and I was like, nah, this is not for me. Like, I wanted to. I wanted to actually just enjoy my time playing football, so that sort of ruined it for me. So then I sort of drifted away from that. I used to play badminton as well at a decent level. Believe it or not, that's a random one. But sort of drifted away.
Did you say badminton?
Yeah.
I literally wouldn't have seen that, you doing that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine you playing badminton right now.
Yeah, man, I know. I used to play for my province, so that's like I don't know how you explain that. Like
It's like the district area sort of
yeah,
thing.
so it's like
Yeah,
there's like say in Ulster there's say 10 counties or whatever it is. You know, you
yeah,
get them all 10 counties or whatever. So played for them. And then again just fell out of love with that. And I moved to college as well when I was like 18, so it sort of drifted away from that. But with regards to that, just before I went to college, around 16, 17, my brother was competing. So my brother was a bodybuilder. So like the first bodybuilding show that I went to, I was like 13, 14 maybe. So I was exposed to it at a young age. I say I didn't really know what the fuck's going on. I was like, oh, this is quite cool or whatever. But I remember going around, man. I was like 13, and I was looking at these boys. They just walking around, like watching the show. I was like, these boys are massive. I was like, they're ginormous.
that's
Like,
what you about when you're like 12, 13, that
yeah,
right?
I know, yeah,
Everyone is around
yeah,
you.
yeah. Because you're, I was sort of thinking, man. I was like, you know, these boys look like He-Man. Like they're huge. Like they're massive. And it was quite cool. It was a cool atmosphere to be in, I thought at the time. And then obviously my brother was still bodybuilding and stuff. And then 16, 17, I was stopping like sports and stuff. So he was just going to the gym anyway. So I just tagged along with him. And I was actually just funny. I was chatting on my story about this recently, like 2 days ago. Like the first thing I learned straight away, the hard way, when I went into the gym was that how to train hard. You know, when I look back now, it wasn't like the perfect training there. It was like terrible form, da 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 da. But the big thing was that you had to train hard. You couldn't go into the gym and not train hard. And we were surrounded by the gym that we were in at that time was predominantly a bodybuilding gym. So everyone in there was bodybuilders. Everyone in there was training hard, and you would have been the odd one out if you weren't training hard. So now when you look back now, obviously there was so much wrong with what we were doing in terms of exercises and how we were performing them and all that crack. But it was good because I learned from the outset that you have to go in and train hard. Have to go and train hard. So that was how I got into it, training wise. And then I was just asking my brother for advice in terms of right, what do I do here, how much food do I, because I'm naturally very, very skinny.
And how old were you then, and how old was your brother then? How much older was your brother than you?
My brother's like, well, now he's like 38, 39.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, yeah. So he's a good bit
It's
older.
like 10 year difference.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so that was that, and then I seen like so I was asking for advice like what foods they eat or what they do, and he's like, back in them days it was like very chicken and rice based. So
Yeah.
it's chatting with this my story like because it just do you know when you think about it, man? Like back then, no one really had the education properly, like so it was just like what the old boy said in the gym sort of thing. So started eating chicken and rice, made myself sick with eating chicken and rice. Fuck me, Jesus Christ! Do you know the Uncle Ben's P-Loop? Do you know the microwavable packets of P-Loop?
Yeah, yeah.
I ate hundreds of them. Like,
It's not even any veg.
nah,
Just
that,
proper veg.
yeah, because at that time, man, I like my palate was awful. I didn't like vegetables at that time, so I was like just getting no fiber at all. Like, so I was literally living off like, and even the boys I went to school with, like, they'll stand for this. Every time I came into school, I brought my lunch with me. It was chicken and rice. I heated up the microwave or heated up the rice in the microwave. It's the same every single day for like 2 years.
So was that chicken and rice for when you was bulking and cutting?
Yeah,
Which is chicken and rice, just different like ratios of it.
yeah. Because at the time, man, as I said, I'm naturally skinny. Like I'm naturally like an ectomorph. If that makes sense. So
Yeah.
putting on weight was a big thing for me. So like when I first stepped into the gym, I have it logged in my fitness pal, like the first ever log.
First ever log.
I was like 58 kg, man. I was so small.
Gee, that is. How tall are you again?
5'8".
Okay, so we're about the same. Fair enough.
Yeah.
58.
Mhm.
That is. There's not a lot of you there.
No. I know that's how like I was. So I was like, I just need to eat as much as I can, but I didn't know I could just eat anything. At that point, I could eat anything as long as I was eating loads. I would have been all right.
Yeah, and you were suffering through chicken and rice
Yeah,
instead.
I was just killing myself, man. I was killing myself because I thought that's what you had to do.
Yeah, well, that's what you were told, right?
Yeah,
From people
exactly.
who
That's
are
what I
more
was
experienced.
told. That's what I was told. So I was like, right, I'll just do this. But hindsight, obviously, hindsight's a beautiful thing. But again, it's a learning curve for me because, like, I've been there. Someone eating chicken and rice 6 times a day. I've done that. I've been there, walk the walk. So did that for like 12 weeks. Trained hard. Didn't train right at all. But I seen some results. My brother took a picture of me one day after the gym. I actually still have the picture. And I was like, I looked at it. I was like, oh my god, I couldn't believe, like, beginner gains. Like, I couldn't believe.
Yeah.
Like, and then that was sort of the start of it. Then that was sort of started. But then I went to college then, so I went to university for 4 years, and I was still training. Don't get me wrong, but I didn't really take it too serious, man. Like the eating stuff, I sort of kept the same. I had a structure to my day in terms of food and stuff. But training wise, I was just training when I could around class and stuff like that there. And then it was only really when I finished university in 2021 where I started taking it like more serious. I hired my first coach in 2020, so the second last year in uni, and I was on with him for like 3 months, and then I stopped that, and then I did my final year in uni, and then I started taking it more serious. So that's
So
been
what made you want to go, right? I'm kind of training on and off from uni. Then you got a coach, and obviously uni was then coming to an end. So what was that transition point or that flip for you that was like, right, I'm going to transition into just being regiment with everything, like nutrition and training wise, and just move even further into this?
yeah. So it's an interesting one because obviously I knew I wanted to develop a physique, but I didn't really have the knowledge on how to do it. So I was like, probably the best way to go about it here is hire someone who knows what to do, and that's what I did. But in hindsight, when I look back, the way my first coach approached me, I was on with him for like 2.5 years, like a long time, and he was brilliant to me. Like, he taught me a lot. But in hindsight, I was chatting to someone about this yesterday. Where I was at that level that I approached him at, he met me at his level. So a lot of people would have just at that stage. I've seen this happen before, where right, this is the plan, go do it, sort of thing. A lot of people would just fall off the bandwagon, but that's not me.
Yeah.
I'm like, right, if this is a plan, I don't give a fuck what it is. I'm just gonna do it. So
Yeah.
he met me here, and I was actually here, and I had to go up to his level. So naturally, I had to think of ways to, accommodate the plan that he's given me to me. Whereas if I was coaching myself now back then, I'd be meeting myself at this level and then helping me go along that ladder in terms of bringing me up to that level eventually.
So in a way, you'd say like he accelerated things for you in terms
Yeah,
of progress and
yeah,
bringing yourself up to that next
yeah.
level. Because that's the
And
sort of person you are.
yeah, and that's just me because I know fine right, man. Most people. I'm not saying I'm special or nothing, but I know a lot of people would have just went, no, I can't do this. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's too much to change.
Yeah, yeah. It's just too overwhelming. But I was just like, no, I'll just do it, no issues. Like, um, so that now when I look back, I was as I said, I was chatting to someone about this, like with my own coaching now. When I look back at it, where I am right now, my coaching over the past year, 6 months, has definitely developed so much in terms of meeting people where they're at because I wasn't shown how to do that. Do you know what I mean? And so me
Yeah.
having to learn how to do that was brand new for me. So over the past 6 months, my coaching has completely transformed in terms of that. Where sometimes think people need to just get out for a walk a day. Wee simple things like that. Like if you were to say tonight, a BB Pro, get out for a walk a day, he'd be like, "What are you on about?" Whereas someone at a baseline level who's really really struggling in terms of structure, habits, getting out for a walk a day, that could be an absolute amazing progress for them.
Yeah.
But I've sort of went off topic.
That's what it's here for, man. Just talk about whatever we want.
Yeah, but basically,
So for me, like knowing you how I do, right? I picture you as someone, and I don't think I just picture you as it. I feel like I know you do this, but you like train regiment, and you're up. Like, what time did you get up today? Bear in mind, I know you had a sore throat, so maybe a bit
yeah,
later in bed,
I'll be up
but
later. Yeah, so I got up at 5 today.
usually it's early there, right?
Yeah, it's usually 4. Yeah.
So how do you like? Because I know you train super early and you're just regiment with things, and I know you probably hit your steps every day and you haven't missed like a session. When was the last time you missed a session? Have you missed one in Jan?
No.
No. So how do you feel like you got to that level where that routine become the norm for you? Because I guess for you it's actually harder to come out of routine
Yeah.
rather than
Yeah.
sticking to the routine that you have.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good question because at the start, like, and if I was to sit here, bro, and say, look, I don't have bad days and I don't struggle, I'd be chatting absolute bollocks. Like that's not the case at all. Everyone struggles, and I think having that relatability and being open and honest about that, I think, is the big thing. Because there is so, man, I know a lot of coaches, like personally and just over the internet or whatever, that paint this picture of fuck, I never miss a session, I never miss a meal, I never, do you know what I mean? Or I never. The big thing is I never struggle. Do you know what I mean? And that's just kind of bollocks. Like, it's just not true. So yeah, I get up early. Yeah, I haven't missed a session for a long, long time, and I think getting to that position, I've had to go through a lot of difficult times to get to that point, and that's where the learning curve comes from them experiences. Because I chat about this to my clients all the time in terms of if you look at the stages of readiness to change, as we spoke about before, the final one is relapse, right? And that sounds as if they're addicts. Like, effectively, relapse is like when something goes wrong.
Is that the
Something.
stage that's coming for you soon? Because you've been so consistent for so long, you're gonna relapse.
Do you know what, man? It can happen. It can happen to anyone. But the thing
Yeah,
is like you can look at it two ways, and it's all about mindset and the type of person who's in that situation. But for me, it's like, right, if I was to have a bad day tomorrow or today or whatever it may be, I'm the kind of person, right? Let's go again tomorrow. You know what I mean? But some people have this vision in their head that, right, if I'm doing a process, I want this whole thing to be smooth. And if it's not smooth and the first road bump that comes into play, then that's the whole thing ruined.
yeah,
So for me, it's like I've had them difficult times where I've really struggled for a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, and they might not have been perfect, but I still try to be as consistent as possible. And then from them periods, I learned that, right, even though I didn't want to go to the gym, I went because I wanted to be consistent, and that's just spiraled from there. And then it's just become easier every single month and day and week and stuff. It's my norm now. So does
yeah.
that make sense?
Interesting. So, do you feel like this is similar with your nutrition as well, as much as it is with training? Because obviously in bodybuilding, they're both par and par. They both need to be like top level, right? So, do you
Yeah,
feel like this is the same sort of situation when it comes to being consistent with your nutrition as well?
yeah. I think nutrition is a bit more difficult because I feel like the love for training is there. It's just not
Yeah,
going
of
to go
course.
anywhere.
Yeah,
So the training aspect is always the easiest part for most people that love training. They enjoy
yeah,
training. They don't have to really have a second thought about it. But nutrition is a difficult one because nutrition then usually involves other people, and this is a part that most people don't think about. But if someone's on another, say someone's on a fat loss journey,
yeah,
the thing that most coaches don't think about is, right, how is this going to affect the other person in their relationship, in the house, in the student living that where they're living, because that will have a huge impact in terms of how well that person actually does. May it be through fear of judgment in terms of actually doing something different to what everyone else is doing. It could also be like, yeah, fear of judgment, but it could also be maybe they don't feel as if the other person understands why they're doing it.
yeah,
There's so many different aspects that could be coming into play there where the other person has a huge impact on whether someone actually makes progress or not. And that's from a nutrition standpoint, because nutrition to me is like a very social thing. Everyone goes out for lunch or brunch or breakfast or dinner or whatever it may be. There's a lot of social, maybe anxiety around food and nutrition for some people. So for me, I try not. I've got to the point now, bro, where I don't really stress over it. Like if I'm going out for a meal with family or whatever, it's a meal with
Do
family.
you feel like though you're so confident in like your identity and who you are, and everyone has known that for so long now that no one bats an eyelid at you eating in a different way? But it's more so when it comes to someone who wants to make a change, like they're going into like say a new person comes to you for coaching, and all of a sudden there's this new exposure to changing food. That initial change for them is a lot harder, but for you, because like everyone knows that's your identity, do you think you're in an easier place for it?
Yeah, 100%. I think, yeah, and do you know what, man? Like, I have difficulties with that statement too because I agree with everything that you're saying. Because I feel like when people are starting a new plan, there is a bit of ooh, like even when I used to work in the office, I was still bringing in my meals and da da da, and I used to get the piss taken out of me all the time, and which is no issues. I could deal with it, But for some people, that could be heartbreaking. You know, that could completely demoralize them if someone's taking the piss out of their food, or what are you eating that for, or why are you bringing so many lunch boxes in? You know, I can understand where that's coming from because I've been there. Now, I'm the person that's like, right, well, I don't care. So I'm like, I'm doing this to improve myself, you know, make myself better, you know, improve my fitness, my health, you know, overall. And I sort of take the view of, well, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be like that person who's taking the piss out of me, who's overweight, can barely move, struggles to get up the stairs, you know, has terrible health, you know.
Yeah, it's one of the things that it says more about the other person who's commenting on it, right?
Yeah, yeah. And that's the thing, man. It's like, I can see that through that lens now because I've been doing it so
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
Whereas someone new to it could be really disheartened by it. You know, I remember the first time I got criticized for food, from the boys, like from friends, not criticized, but they'd be taking the piss. It was a bit disheartening, like. But now, as you said, now I'm at the point where if I'm surrounded by people that know me, they just know that's going to be the case. Like they don't really bat an eyelid.
Yeah. I guess it is much harder when you're first making a change, especially with nutrition.
100%.
Like you're making a change to, like, I guess, like lose weight, for example, for someone new,
Yeah,
and then everyone around you is like, "What the hell are you eating now?" Like you're so like you got your Tupperwares out or something.
yeah,
So there's that initial change that must be really hard, to be fair.
yeah. A thing I like to use, man, it's for clients in them scenarios, and it sounds so simplistic, but yeah, it's brilliant because it's by Mel Robbins. Do you know Mel Robbins?
Yeah, yeah, I know Mel Worms, yeah.
She's brilliant. I'm reading her book currently. It's called The Let Them Theory. Don't know if you've
Yeah,
heard. Yeah,
I've heard of it. Yeah, I feel like it was plastered all around social media.
was it? The book is called The Let Them Theory, but there's a second part to that which you wouldn't really know unless you read the book, which is Let Me. So it's like let
Right.
them do whatever they're going to do in terms of judge you, think bad about you, think negative thoughts, say negative things, whatever it may be. But your response to that is what matters. You know, there's a quote I've remembered out of this book, and it wasn't even a quote; it was just a line I seen in the book. It's like she said that if we focus on the uncontrollables, it makes us stressed, and if we focus on the things that we can control, it makes us powerful. And that was just a line she wrote in the book, but I remember reading that. I was like, oh my days, that's like, yeah, it's part that line is powerful because how many times have you been in a position, man, where you're stressing out about things that aren't in your control?
But it's probably most of the time, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you take a step back, it's like, right, well, I can't control, if I'm going to be late for work or whatever it may be. I don't know. But you can control how you respond to that situation. That's always in your control. So that's what the let them let me theory is. It's like, right, let that person or let that situation do its own thing, but let me do this in a positive way. So,
Yeah.
I sort of give that to my clients in terms of that. That they say, for example, a food situation, let them people judge you, let them people do whatever you want to do, but let me show you what I'm going to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the way I like to approach it.
So in terms of nutrition as well, do you feel like obviously there's different approaches, right? You have meal
Yeah.
plans, there's macro plans, there's different ways of doing things, but do you feel like there's certain systems out there and certain habits that are the main things out there which help, I guess, like not help you stay consistent because I know you're consistent, but what are the main things that help, say, a new client coming to you? What's the biggest habits they can change to build a system in place rather than thinking, oh, I'm literally just following meal plans and I'm tracking macros, because surely there's a system behind that which makes it easier as well. So I guess, like, what systems do you feel like you put in place for clients to make that easy?
In terms of food,
Yeah, in terms of food, not training.
yeah. In terms of food, man, I always like to strip it back down into the fundamentals of, say, for example, if we're looking at a physique development client, they want to drop body fat, they want to get lean or whatever. The first four things I'll always focus on, and it sort of spills into food, so just bear with me here. There's sleep, stress management, meal timing, and hydration. If we start with them four things, that them's going to be the core four things of whether that person makes progress or not.
You're not talking about nutrition at all to begin with.
Yeah, meal timing's in there. Literally, like, say if someone comes to me, I'm not even going
Oh,
to
sorry, you said meal time. I thought you said me time.
meal.
Like time for yourself.
Yeah, meal timings. Yeah,
That's the accent.
yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, meantime, so the four things there is my like big focus when someone comes on board to get that nailed, because if we don't have that, it doesn't matter what the nutrition plan is. It doesn't matter what training they're doing. If we don't have that fundamental foundation set in place, it makes me forget about the rest. So from a nutrition standpoint, meal timings is actually, in my opinion, more important in comparison to what the actual meals are. Firstly, because
Okay.
if your meal timings,
Didn't think you'd say meal timings to be like I thought maybe just calories, kind of calories in, calories out would be one of the main things to begin with, but meal timings is not what I thought of.
yeah,
So yeah, go on, carry on with that.
yeah. So to give you an example, like I had a client come in at one point, and his nutrition was not good at all. Let's be real. It was like have maybe one meal a day, and then the rest of the days eat sweets. Right? He could be eating anything. Right? So if I was to go right, let's eat 5 meals a day. Let's add structure to that. Let's have these perfect calories, perfect macros. Firstly, he's going to really struggle because he's going from 1 meal to 5 meals. And then secondly, if you're adding more fiber in there, more protein in there, it's going to cause digestive issues. And number three, then it's like, right, if we start adding that amount of meals in there, or whatever it may be, and the perfect meals, for example, the perfect macro meal,
Yeah.
he's going to get overwhelmed in terms of how does he even know where to get these meals in? He could have 3 in the morning and 2 in the evening. If we don't provide that structure first. So I always like to work from the ground up in terms of the meal timings, get them set in stone, because what I find is if you get the sleep, everything else set in stone, your body works off clockwork, right? So everything, I don't want to get too grim with this, but do you know everyone has their first meal in the morning or has a coffee in the morning, and like half an hour later they have to go to the toilet? That's called
Yeah.
the that's called the gastrocolic reflex. So a lot of people don't know that, but your digestive system is working off a clock all the time, and it feeds back to your CNS. So it's called the enteric nervous system. So that feeds back up to your
Getting deep.
yeah, no, yeah. So basically, your digestive system basically has a brain of its own. Everyone calls it the second brain. It is.
Yeah.
There were studies actually done, man. I say this to clients sometimes, it blows their mind, so I'll say it here. There were studies done where the digestive system was like cut out of a human and like left on a desk, for example, and that digestive system was still functioning as normal. With it was completely severed from the human, but it was still functioning as normal.
That's
That's
crazy.
that's mental. That's how much of an organism your digestive system actually is. So all it's doing is feedback into us, like giving information back to us. If your digestive system is off, I guarantee you'll be angry, you'll be crabby, you'll be sad, you'll be down, you'll be low mood, you'll be low energy. So
Yeah.
that's why I start with from a meal timing standpoint. What that's going to allow you to do is that digestive system work off that clock. And once
So
that
do you start with the first meal of the day, building that structure then? If you're talking about the digestive system, or would that be different from client to client? It could be let's structure a dinner routine in. Do you
yeah
find it mainly like a breakfast or an early meal?
yeah, so it depends on the client, depends on obviously the work life situation or whatever it may be. A lot of clients have set break times and lunch times in the day. So, you'll say, right, well, this is your break time, this is your lunch time, right? Them's two things that are set. Now, outside of that, what I tend to look at then is I go back to one of the other points, and them four things is sleep, because everyone always says, right, I'll start Monday and get up at this time, but to me, say for example, someone's starting on Monday, the plan starts on Sunday evening. What time do you get to bed? Like, that's where it starts for me. So
Yeah.
I'd be like, right, what bedtime are we going to set that's realistic for you to get to and be consistent with every night? And this is granular details, but this is the details that I go into to make sure that we're setting them up for success. Because in the past, bro, I'll be honest, like as I said to you, I was treating clients as if they were in the action readiness stage, but they're not. Do you know what I mean? So you have
Yeah.
to
So they don't even have a system behind
yeah,
having a structure for eating well to begin with.
yeah. So
Yeah.
you need that day. I always say to my clients, right, what we're trying to do first is optimize your day to day life. If we optimize your day to day life, then we can focus on the macros, the calories, And once we have that structure, then everything else we can layer on as we go. So from once we have the meal timing set and the bedtime and the wake time set, hydration's a fairly straightforward thing. It's a simple matter of getting X amount of water and sipping that throughout the day. 30 the calculation I use, I don't know if you know this, 35 ml per kg. Um, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, 35 ml per kg. Yeah, so that's where I like to start as a minimum, and then add an extra 500 ml on per hour of exercise that you do. So
And what do you do an assessment beforehand with a client to see what their intake is prior to working with you?
So yeah, I asked them in the onboard form. So and then in the first couple of calls that we have in the first few days, I'll ask them where their water intake is because a lot of
Where is it usually? I'm assuming it's just there's none.
yeah, well, not none,
Just
but
very minimal.
yeah, very minimal. Like for
Yeah, like
example,
me, just drinking a cup of tea all day.
that's what I mean. 'Cause some people class a cup of tea or coffee as their water intake, but if you're having a cup of tea and coffee, that's dehydrating you because of caffeine in there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it's one of them things, man, that straight away you can just improve like that, and the quality of life starts to improve. Do you know what I mean? It's a simple fix, but you can start improving it straight away. So having the meal times in there, the sleep times in there, and then once you have them foundations laid, man, it's honestly it can be a very very straightforward process. It's just finding what's going to work for that person at that time. I don't know if does that answer your question or
yeah, it does. So you also mentioned there was four, right? You had meal
yeah,
timings, you had sleep,
yeah,
you had stress in there. What was the other one?
stress management and hydration.
Oh, and hydration, of
Yeah.
course, yeah. So do you dive into stress, or do you feel like lining the sleep up, lining the meal timing up, that tends to kind of bring someone's nervous system down anyway by doing that and puts them in a better position without having to dive so much into stress?
100%, 100%, man. I think a lot of the time, man, when you really think about it, like someone's going to be in a fight or flight state because of 21st century problems, which is like work, relationships, money, financial stress, etc., etc. But a lot of the time, what I'm finding is like clients' brain bandwidth is being used up on a day-to-day basis because they have no structure. Because they're waking
Yeah.
up on a Tuesday morning, be like, right, I have this, 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 I have this to do, and then they're getting overwhelmed, and then they become stressed. Whereas if they know, right, well, what we're doing in terms of physique development, we're simplifying all that down, and they know, right, well, I have a meal here, I have a meal here, I have my meals prepped, I get up at this time, I go to bed at this time, I have my duration here. It simplifies everything. So then their stress is like coming, it's already coming down from a sympathetic to a parasympathetic state, which is just so much easier to work with because you're going to be in a rest and digest state, which then digestion's going to improve, energy levels are going to improve, sleep's going to improve. And then all of a sudden, then they're going a week in, 2 weeks in, they're like, I've never felt as good. We haven't even started fat loss. We haven't even started anything. We've just set in the foundations of, right, well, the foundations are there. We can build upon from there now.
Yeah, I guess you could say like the internal environment has just improved massively
Yeah.
before you even started to work on nutrition
Yeah,
or even training for that matter.
exactly. Because the thing is, bro, is like someone's in that state, in that sympathetic state already, and we go, right, let's layer on loads of hard training here. You're just
Do you,
adding stress on.
Dylan, do you tend to see like most people in that kind of sympathetic state as well
Yeah,
before working with you?
yeah.
Like, what percentage?
I
Is
would
that
say
75%?
I was going to say 70%. Yeah, 70 to 80.
Yeah,
Yeah. Just the reason being, it's just it's not a bad thing that they're in that state. It's just they don't know what to
it's
do
just
about it.
life these days
Yeah, they just
for
don't
most
know.
people.
They just don't know what to do about it, man.
No, no. And
So
to be honest, it's usually, do you not find it's the simple things, but it takes someone to tell you to do it, right?
yeah,
Like you know that you need to either go to bed earlier or just have a more structured sleep and wake time. But until someone says it and why you're doing it and how that's going to help make the change, you have no real reason to do it yourself.
exactly, exactly. It's almost like that's what coaching is there for. It's
Yeah.
like you can go and look right now at ChatGPT. What time should I go to bed? What time should I wake up? It'll tell you, but it's not going to hold you accountable to doing that. Do you know what I mean? That's why having a coach there, like my clients will say I pester them all the time because I am texting them every second day. Well, that's what I do because I like I like being on top of them because if something happens, I want to know about it. You know what I mean? I feel like having more conversations with them is where you get to know the person, get to know their lifestyle. It's easier to make progress in that sense. But I think a lot of the time, then, if say for example, this is probably you're going to follow on from this question in terms of right, what if their stress doesn't improve? Like, what do you do then? Do you know what I mean? What if they're stressed? They're still stressed. There's a few things that we can do to kind of mitigate that as much as possible. And again, I always say when I'm saying these to clients, I'm like, they might sound blasé, but they actually work. They might sound airy fairy, but they work. So the first thing I go to is, or the first question I'll ask is, right, when you're going to bed, are you struggling to sleep or are you just lying in bed, you can't sleep? If they say yeah, first thing I go to is brain dumping. So brain dumping is like basically what that's feedback into me, what that feeds back to me is when they're lying in bed, their brain isn't switched off yet. Their brain's still in that sympathetic nervous system because they're all thinking about what they didn't do today, what they have to do tomorrow. So what I tell them to do is grab a pen and piece of paper, write everything down on a pen and piece of paper. It doesn't have to make sense. It can be just gibberish, absolute gibberish. But what I want them to do then is close that over, and I want you to go into bed and envision a blank canvas, right? Because if you're sitting thinking about all these thoughts, man, you're never going to fall asleep, or you're going to really, really struggle. So I take the piss of myself sometimes because I say this to my clients, like I tell them what I do when I'm in bed to help me fall asleep, and it's so funny, like, but I just picture that blank canvas. That's what you need to fall asleep. If that's not blank, you're not going to fall asleep. So how do we create a blank canvas? We write everything down on a pen and piece of paper, close it over, that's it. And
Yeah.
honestly, like, I've used that myself. I've used that on clients, and 95% of them has it's been a success. Just to clear their head. So that's one thing. I know box breathing comes in handy as well. I've used that again. It brings down the nervous system as well. Reading, journaling, different things like this here, but that you can implement. And obviously, then you can go down the supplement route. But that's never my first protocol. Like, I'll always go, the holistic approach to things like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I actually was looking at something, it might have been yesterday actually, about how when people get, when you're obviously trying to sleep, what the thoughts that you're actually thinking about is more, you're thinking about things that are worrying you, right? So it's more worry that you're actually consumed with. And there was a concept, and maybe you do use this without actually knowing, but you can actually say to yourself, like, you know what, I'm going to set this worry time for 7 p.m. and anything out of this time, I'm not going to worry about that issue. I'm going to deal with it in a specific time period of my day. And then when you do go to bed, you've already cleared that kind of worry time in your day already, that you can kind of like let it go.
yeah, that's
So
interesting.
something I've been thinking about lately, because I'm always thinking about things, especially work related, and there's always like a to do list going on. So
Yeah,
something I think of doing is obviously, like you said, doing a brain dump, but just doing a to do list for my next day closes a load of open loops that I have going on, so I can like switch off.
yeah,
Sometimes it's just too many open loops that have not been finished from the day before.
yeah,
But also I haven't done it yet, but trying to set aside an hour of, I'm going to worry for this hour, and then the other hour I don't need to worry. It sounds
yeah.
crazy, but I think it could work. I'm going to try it.
That's I've never actually heard of that, man. Setting a time on that. It's actually quite.
Because you can worry all day about things, and it
Yeah,
doesn't change anything. Worrying is not an action, is it?
no, no. It's just that's it. It's like stress. Like I always say, stress isn't an emotion. It's something that we create in our own minds. It's
Yeah.
not a real thing. We just create this stress. So, or the worry or whatever. So I think that's a good idea. Actually, never heard of it.
Setting yourself a worrying hour.
Yeah, might do that.
I won't message you during that hour.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, so going back to again, going back to clients and getting results for them. Um, what do you think then? And you might have covered it in that, but what do you think like the lowest hanging fruit is for improving aesthetics for someone? Say you're someone who's been going to the gym for like 2 or 3 years, and you're just kind of going through the motions, but like each year you kind of look the same, and deep down you want to make a change on like physical appearance, whether it's get bigger, get more, get leaner, but you feel like there's no physical change in how you look year to year, but you're training hard. What do you think the lowest hanging fruit is that someone could work on if they're stuck in that kind of pattern that they could do with working on most?
Yeah. So
Would you go back to it? Is this kind of managing your routine and your sleep cycle and stress
yeah,
beforehand on all of this? Would you
yeah,
go back to that routine?
yeah. That's always the first protocol because, as you said yourself, man, most times most people on a day-to-day basis aren't focusing on them wee details. So that's the first thing I'll look at, right? But if they're them four things are nailed by this person, I'm just making this up here. If that's absolutely perfect, there's obviously something going wrong. So it's figuring out what the roadblock actually is for this person. So if they're not seeing any progress, but them four things are in a good spot, so your meal time and hydration, stress management, sleep's all in a good spot. There's only a few other factors that it could be. So training wise, what does training look like? Are you training too much? Are you not training enough? Are you doing any cardio? Are you doing too much cardio? Is your nutrition structured in terms of, you might have the meal timing set, but what does that nutrition actually look like? And then is it like consistent day to day, or is it changing every week? Is it changing every day? Like you might have a set meal plan for weekdays, but then come the weekend, it's just a free for all.
Yeah.
So there's something going wrong there. And what I would then tend to look at is like, right, what is actually going wrong here? Because if we have them four things, then we can sort of figure out what's going wrong, and then we can map out a plan from there. So it's hard to put like a blanket statement on it because everyone's going to be different.
I'll narrow it down so we could get more of an answer with it
Yeah,
then. So if we just look at training in
yeah.
particular, what do you feel like the biggest problem is people do wrong out there? Would you say it's more they're just training too much and it's not an optimal program they're following? Or would you think the training intent isn't there and they don't know how to put in the intensity? Because I feel like it's going to be one of them, like one or two of them.
Yeah. Honestly, man, I think it's actually in my bio. It's like I help guys that train hard finally look like it. That's
Or is
what.
that your bio? This is
Yeah.
like the perfect question to ask.
I know. I thought you
You better
based.
answer it well.
I thought you based that question on that.
No, it's just coincidence.
Yeah. No, that's good. So yeah, if we're looking at the training side of things, 99% people, man. Like I actually have a client on board who's flying at the minute, man. I'll use him as an example, but he's been training for like 10, 15 years, right? But not moving in the right direction. But with regards to training, the quality of training needed to improve drastically. So not just intensity. Intensity was absolutely fantastic. You know, most boys that enjoy training will go in and train hard. You know,
Yeah.
they'll learn that over time if they've been doing that for a period of time. But it's the finer details with the quality of the reps. Like I'll always say to clients, and I wreck their head about it. Quality before quantity. So quality of the reps. I would rather you do one set of an exercise and do it perfect than do four shit sets. That
Yeah.
always quality. That's the I always see boys missing out in terms of how they're performing the reps, the preset execution, the tempos. They're usually going too fast. They're bouncing out of the length and range. They're bouncing out of the short range. You know, they're not controlling
So
that.
would you like, I guess, like bring that into like that is just training intent and just not being focused with what the intent is of an exercise?
Yeah,
Because for me, I find that's probably the biggest thing I'm focusing on for clients is like trying to get across training intent to them. And obviously, you have that kind of ego lifting thing where you're always trying to put weight on the bar. But then you also have other people that you're comparing yourself to doing certain lifts. Say you're on the leg extension machine, for example, you're always thinking about when can I max it out?
yeah,
Because most people, when they're trained, especially guys, most people when we train for long enough, you can max the leg extension out.
yeah.
So do you feel like it does come back to just training intent more than anything?
Yeah, I think it's training intent and training's like smart because I had to do this with a client this week actually where his training now is at a very, very high level. He's been on with me for coming up to 2 years, so he's on with me for a long time. And we've graduated his training up so well. He trains very, very well now. But it got to a point then in his growth phase that he was becoming obsessed with the logbook. And he was actually getting anxious going into the session where because he wanted to beat these numbers. And in doing so, he was just getting in his own head. And
Yeah,
what I've actually said to do this week is actually just forget about the logbook, just go in and enjoy the sessions because I've been down that rabbit hole before where I'm just so focused on the logbook and progressions and getting stronger that I'll sacrifice my quality of reps or I'll become so anxious that the session I just don't enjoy.
in
And
terms of trying to beat like a previous
yeah,
number, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's like constant like strive for progression in
yeah,
lifting weight,
yeah,
and that takes away from what you're actually going there for in the first place.
exactly. Like you're
Driving like an adaptation.
Yeah, like if you're like the reason that most people start the gym is because they enjoy it or they end up liking it. They end up enjoying the gym. And if you're going into the gym at any point and you're dreading it, something needs to change. Something needs to happen. Because otherwise, if you keep just trying to do the same thing, you're gonna end up hating the gym, and that's obviously the last thing you want. So I just took the logbook out. I was like, man, just go do your sessions this week. Do not worry about the logbook at all. And he's coming. He says to me, he's like, I'm really enjoying the sessions this week. I was like, right, that's what first and foremost when it comes to training, you need to enjoy it. Doesn't matter if it's like the perfect training split or the perfect exercise or whatever. It's all about enjoyment. And if that's not there, then you're pissing into the wind. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a big one. I think enjoyment.
Yeah,
Well,
it's interesting you saying about like constantly chasing a number because I kind of work in like a 6 or 12 week cycle, and around the 6 to 7 week mark on the 12 week cycles for the bigger lifts, I see numbers increasing quicker and quicker and quicker in terms of like front squats or like a main lift.
Yeah,
And then if I watch like the form video, I'm like, Jesus, this is getting like the weights are getting like pushed way too fast compared to like the form now. And
yeah,
it's that constant strive for we've got like a 12-week cycle of front squats. How much can I push on week 12? Like what am I going to get to? And then I guess it is that constant like strive for keep on pushing the weights. But again, that you're losing the intention of why we're doing the exercise in the first place to some degree.
exactly, man. I feel like this is something I've learned over, well, not over a long time, only recently, because obviously I'm always developing my training and the way I approach it. But for me now, it's about like having intent within the muscle. So
Mhm.
as I said, I've been down that rabbit hole, chasing numbers, chasing numbers, chasing numbers. And it gets to the point then when I'm doing a movement and I'm progressing, but I'm not feeling the muscle. The feeling in the muscle's gone. And then I'm wondering why I'm not growing. So it's sort of like you're playing this cat and mouse game. So recently, for me, it's always been it's been more about the feeling, having that feeling, that sensation, that tension on the muscle. That's really been my focus, which should always be your focus. I do agree with that. But if you're following a logbook scenario, it is very, very easy to get carried away with the logbook. Very,
Well,
very.
also a lot of when I'm working with clients, they can see every bit of history on their app. So if they've done a front squat, they can see 4 weeks ago the front squat was this number, and because of that constant history, they can see there is a constant chase for improving on it. So
Yeah,
in a way, that is the same as the logbook, right? You're literally just trying to beat that number.
yeah, yeah. But you kind of have to remind clients and remind myself sometimes is that when you're chasing progression, more weight on the bar or another rep isn't the only metric of progression.
Yeah,
Improving form or improving the mechanical tension or feeling on that muscle, that's progression in itself. But we always like we're creatures, like we are humans. We like to see numbers go up. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? Whereas if you're just solely based on tension, you're like, oh well, I'm not progressing. But
It's
you
well,
are.
it's hard to when you can't put tension down on a bit of paper, can
Yeah,
you?
exactly.
So
You can't quantify that. Like,
yeah, I tend to look at people's progress when it comes to holding a position. Like that's something I'm always talking to clients about. It's like,
yeah,
does your position look better over time? Say
yeah,
you went from like, I don't know, a front squat with just the 20 kilo bar, and now you're at 60. If that looks exactly the same as when you were just using a bar, you've made a hell of a lot of progress on maintaining a position. Which yeah, you're lifting more weights, but the fact that you can hold a position and you have the strength and the intra-abdominal pressure to maintain that, there's 20 to 30 other things we can focus on that you've improved on within that as well. But it's just we're not writing that down. All we're ever doing is writing the weight down on the bar, which obviously is the easier thing to track
yeah,
and the more enjoyable thing. But
yeah. It would be quite cool to actually find a way that you could actually quantify that. That sort of feeling, or yeah, you're all good.
so talk to me about the the lessons that bodybuilding has taught you and how that has like affected the way you are as a person outside of training.
Consistency, man.
Yeah,
Literally, that's the one thing I'll say. Because I think Sam Sulek said it, which is a cool one. Like it's like you don't see you go and do one gym session, you don't see anything, and you won't see any progress. But you go in and do 1,000 gym sessions or 100 gym sessions, you might see some progress in. And it's like I was chatting to a guy yesterday around. He was doing his theory test. Only a young guy. His driving theory test. And even that, he failed it. And he was like, yeah, I just need to study a bit more. And he goes to the gym as well. And I was like, just put in the reps. Just put in the reps. Because eventually you'll pass it. You know what I mean? It's the same. I approach life now and work with the same thing. It's like, put in the reps. Put in the reps. Be consistent. Be consistent. That's what it's taught me in terms of just keep showing up. You show up to the gym on your worst day, you'll show up to anything on your worst day. Just keep going.
yeah. Do you
Uh,
feel like it? I think the one thing that just training in general, but I feel like it's even more so when it comes to training and bodybuilding, like that thought of delayed gratification,
yeah,
because it 100% is, isn't it? Like you obviously don't see results week to week. Maybe you will month to month, but when you get to a certain level, it's like year to year, isn't it?
yeah,
So do you feel like that delayed gratification, the concept of that, you apply it in your work and like your personal life as well? Do you
yeah.
see like how that's spilled over?
100%, man. 100%. Look, we're all definitely now in this day and age, like we all want quick. quick fixes. Like we all want something now. You know, I am guilty of it plenty of times, 100%. But especially with like business and stuff, like I'll definitely play the long game. Like I actually said that to you, I think on our last call, when we were just generally chit chatting. Like I'm playing the long game. Like you know, I know, you know, a lot of the top coaches in the industry at the minute, they haven't been doing it for a year. They haven't been doing it for 6 months. Like I was on a call with Cal Reistrick yesterday, and he's like the top UK coach in my opinion, for bodybuilding. He's coaching Olympians. Like that's the level he's at, and he's been doing it for 15 years. Do you know what I mean? And he's put
Yeah.
in the reps, like he's put in the long nights, the early starts, the traveling across the world. He's done all that. Like so, like I'm just playing the long game, and that's what the gym's taught me is play the long game. You know, I've been going to the gym since I was 16, 17. That's 10 years. That's 10 years ago to the gym. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It is mad how long it is, really, isn't it?
It's
Because
crazy.
I guess I've trained since the age of like 16, 17, but like on and off. I've got training experience there, but not in one specific field for long enough to drive, I don't know, a certain amount of progress. I've just kind of dabbled in everything as to how I've got here,
Yeah,
doing rehab and movement stuff. Um, but yeah, it is interesting seeing that crossover
yeah,
into your work as well, I guess.
100%, man. That's like that's the biggest thing I'll always say is just even my mum says it to me too. Just believe, like if you think you could do it, just do it, like just do it.
Yeah. Um, Personal one when it comes to your own training. What is your current training split?
Current training split is push pull off, arms, upper, legs off.
Okay.
So reason being it's that is because upper half, as I said, my legs is my strong point. So upper half for me is like a big focus. So like chest, shoulders, back, arms, etc. So I'm hitting arms 3 times a week. So on the end of push days, on the end of pull days, and then I have an arm day. I was doing them 4 times a week. I was doing them in my upper day as well, but I just felt they couldn't recover. So
Yeah.
doing 3 times a week, doing chest, shoulders twice a week, back twice a week, and then legs once a week.
So
So
you
that's
got a full day dedicated to arms. So let's go into that because that's interesting actually. Because I'm wondering how many sets and reps per. Obviously, you're doing biceps, triceps. So what are you actually doing in your arm day at the minute?
so start off with cross body tricep extension.
Yeah.
Just trying to get that tricep fully short. I really just enjoy that movement because I feel like
Yeah.
for me in any tricep movement, I was teaching my own clients about this in terms of you're not just pressing that weight away, but you're trying to press out and around. That makes sense.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
with that arc. So that for me is cross body tricep extension. Then I
So we've
go,
got a shortened position exercise to start with.
yeah. Then I'll go into two length and range movements. So it's close grip Smith press or like a JM press sort of.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then I'll go into like an overhead dumbbell skull crusher, single
Okay.
arm, people lateral. And then I'll do dips as well. So well, three length and range ones and one short one. And then I'll go into biceps, which is just a D handle, bilateral D handle cable curl. Then I'll go into alternate dumbbell curl, hammer curl, and then incline curl.
Yeah.
Then sets wise, depends. So so because I'm in prep, not arms aren't that taxing, but I've sort of shifted the volume down a wee bit. So just mainly 2 sets on most of them exercises. The odd one there's three.
Two
Um,
working sets, maybe
yeah,
three on each. Okay.
yeah,
So that's like an hour session still.
yeah.
By
Still,
the time
yeah,
you're an hour.
45 minutes. Yeah, to an hour. Yeah,
Yeah. You've inspired me to have more of an arm day. I feel like since I went a bit more functional, I feel like the one area for me, because there's no isolation stuff for
yeah,
arms anymore, really,
yeah,
there's probably the area that's shrunk the most.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. No, honestly, man, I honestly that's it's definitely brought my arms up. Like having that full day where you just right, this is the only thing I'm training is definitely so much better because I found even when I wasn't doing an arm day and I was tagging, biceps onto the end of something else,
It was just like tag on with no like real effort.
yeah, by the time you get
The
there,
real work has been done.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
So this it is,
I haven't trained much arms only because my equipment limitations here. Don't get me wrong, I'm probably like lying to myself. I can do loads, but because I haven't got a cable machine,
yeah,
I literally love training arms with a cable machine.
yeah,
So yeah, need to figure out a way to
Are
to
you
get it
getting
in there a bit more.
are you getting a cable machine now? Or
No, so I bought a power rack to begin with, and there was a cable attachment that goes onto the power rack. That's still not here, by the way. Hopefully it's here. It's supposed to be here this week, but it's
yeah,
obviously not.
right,
But it might be here next week. But you can buy the cable attachment that attaches onto the power rack.
right.
But I didn't want to buy it all in one go. I thought, little bits at a time.
Yeah,
But I do want a cable machine because it's the one thing I think you can get a really good stimulus from.
man, you
And
can
having
do.
access to a cable, like a home gym's great, but if you've got access to a cable machine as well, especially an adjustable one, I feel like there's so much you can do with that.
You could literally do a full workout on cables. Like you
Yeah.
wouldn't need anything else.
So I will get one, just not yet.
Yeah,
Money, eh?
when the time is right.
Yeah, which is probably like a couple of weeks away.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
um, to round things up, then, what are your plans for bodybuilding this year? You're competing this year, aren't you?
Yes. So I'm in prep. Competition is the 26th of April, which how many days away is that? I have it on my
Have you not got a countdown on your phone?
do you?
I
Uh,
do.
yeah, 86 days away to the first one. So yeah,
So are you on a diet now?
yeah,
You are, okay.
yeah.
What are
So
your calories?
you know what? I'm trying to switch my brain off from them. To be honest, I
Oh,
don't.
really? That bad?
Yeah, I don't want to. I feel like I don't want to know because I feel like if I see the calorie number, I'm like, oh, I'm only on this amount of calories. Does that make sense? Um,
Yeah, so you're not going to tell me then, no?
no, I'm looking at it because I don't actually know the answer. I'll find out for you now. But I
So
think it's
I'm
like,
assuming you're obviously on a meal plan that you don't have to worry about the actual calorie number.
yeah, yeah. I just follow the meal plan, but I
Makes
think
sense.
it's here. I have it here now. 2 seconds. It's like 2,000. Just
Mate, you're
thinking.
2,000, you're fine.
Yeah, I think it's like 2,000. Yeah, 2,700 and 2,600 on a resting.
I thought you were going to say lower than that, to be fair. I thought you were going to say like 2,223, but
2,7, 2,6. Yeah,
fair
sweet.
enough.
That will be coming
So,
down. Though.
what's that?
That will be coming down.
Oh, it will, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. And that's in April this year.
yeah. So
So
that's
from your how much do you weigh now?
86.75, I believe, this morning.
86.75. And what is do you use a goal weight you want to get to, or do you use obviously it's more based on looks, but do you have a weight figure that you want to get down to for 80 days time?
Yeah, I think for me, the last time I was lean, I still wasn't as lean as I have to be this time. So the last time I was like in very, very good condition, I was like 78 at my lowest. So if
Yeah.
I was like on stage, absolutely peeled at 80 kg, then that would tell me I put on like 3 or 4 kilo of muscle uh,
Right, okay.
within the space of like a couple of years, which I would be buzzing about to be honest, because I know I'm not genetically gifted in the sense of I can easily put on muscle. I just know that's not me. Like so, I would be buzzing with that. So that would be what another 7, 6 kilo to come off. But I could be wrong. I could have more. You know what I mean? It's just you never know until the time comes.
Yeah. So you're just waiting to see what it gets to, really,
Yeah,
and then
see
you
what
see your
happens.
progress over the last 2 years.
Yeah, I know. Literally.
Cool. Where can people find you, Dylan, if they want to learn more about your coaching or just you as a person in bodybuilding?
Yeah. So Dylanlairdfit on Instagram. You can see my Instagram page. Obviously, I have YouTube as well, which is I think it's DWD Fitness. So Dara Dillon Fitness. Obviously, my coaching brand is called Dara Dillon. Yeah. No, the reason I called myself Dara Dillon was it sounds a bit, why you called Dara Dillon? But the reason being I did that is because I want people to dare themselves to achieve more, be better, and do more. Because a lot of the time people don't realize the capabilities that they have in their hands. They don't realize the power that they have. Um, so I feel like sometimes my job as their coach, and is to kind of just give them the tools to dare themselves to be better. Um,
Yeah.
it's not to like convince them to do better. It's more of like give them the tools to do better and help them realize that they do have that power within themselves to achieve whatever they want to achieve. So that's why I'm called Daredevil. But yeah, my aim is to change as many people's lives as possible.
Sounds good, mate. Sounds like a good approach.
Yeah, no, that's it.